Hey guys, Dan here,
And Frank,
and we are the Mazer Squad with episode 16. Can't believe it's 16 already. And we're going to
yeah,
be covering Neon Cyber Uprising and also Shin Kamen Rider, our review from watching it live in the theater. But before that, we got some news we're going to take care of. First off, we got the Skull Island trailer coming out. It's going to be live to watch on Netflix on June 22nd. What did you think of this trailer?
oh, I thought it was awesome. Like I said, when the first teaser dropped, I was getting Godzilla the series vibes. Now that we get to see more, hear the characters, it's like definitely focus on the island. So it's definitely not quite like Godzilla series, but there's definitely a lot of different creatures, monsters in this thing. It doesn't look like very sciencey like with Nick on Godzilla series. It looks like it's a father, a son, and maybe his friend. They found a map or something, and they traveled to this island, Skull Island, of course. I'm not quite sure if it's takes place in the MonsterVerse or not.
So
If it's going to be
there is a
canon.
skull crawler in the
There,
trailer,
there,
which is the
there
one thing
is.
that definitely makes it seem like it's MonsterVerse.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. Besides
I
that,
just don't
nothing
know
really.
when it takes place because it's kind of hard to tell. Because we this first Skull Island movie took way back. Like when would you say that took place? It took place at the end of Vietnam,
Yeah,
and then we jumped all the way to modern day. So there's this huge gap that
yeah,
has not been filled with what Kong was up to during all that
yeah.
time.
So
And we're still going forward with the story with the Godzilla vs Kong now, the Godzilla Kong New Empire movie. We still don't know what happened during that. I know we have the Monarch show coming out. We have
yeah, and I'm not really
this.
expecting a whole lot of MonsterVerse callbacks because, first off, I think this series probably clearly takes place prior to Godzilla 2014. So we're not going to be
Definitely.
getting like, oh, Godzilla references, but maybe you'll see like a cave painting or something.
Yeah, maybe
I
it'll
think
be
that's going
like
to be like the extent of the callbacks to the MonsterVerse. It's probably going to be a very
yeah.
independent story, but still like canon.
They seemed kind of like the character seemed kind of modern. I would say maybe it's gonna be like so 2014 took place in 2014, so maybe it's like early 2000s or something like
Maybe.
that.
For me, the animation. I know you haven't watched the series. The animation very much reminded me of like Legend of Korra type of animation, like the way the models were drawn and everything. And there's actually two
Yeah.
characters in that show that remind me of the two male characters in this one.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if it's just inspired or I'm just
It could
drawing
be.
lines where there is none, but definitely reminded me of that quite a
Yeah.
bit.
I mean, yeah, Netflix. I feel like they definitely stepped it up with their anime. I mean, I don't think Singular Point they actually made, but Skull Island looks great. They were behind the Cyberpunk anime series, which won a ton of awards. They just announced this Blood Dragon series, which is another video game based
I
anime.
think they also did the
And
League of Legends one, which I think also
yes,
won
League of
awards.
Legends won a ton of awards. So Netflix has been doing really good with their animes lately. So I have really good, high expectations for this. And this one took so long to come out because Netflix was giving them the time to actually work on it and get it right. So I have a very good feeling on it. I mean, I personally thought the trailer looked great. I saw some people complaining about some of the monster designs. They're like, what is this? It's kind of basic looking, but I think everything looks really cool in it. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I was actually pretty
don't want to.
surprised by the designs because they didn't all seem super animal based. So I was
Yes,
expecting more just like generic, especially from like the books that we've gotten for Skull Island. I was expecting more of
like giant
that.
bats and
Yeah.
stuff.
So I was actually pretty surprised with the
Um,
monsters in this.
I mean, like the skull crawler to me doesn't look like anything really. I mean, it's kind of like an out there
It's like a salamander
design.
or something
Yeah, I mean, I know
weird.
it's based off the wall creature, the pit monster, whatever you want to call it, from the original 33 that was climbing up the wall that you see for like 2 seconds in the movie. But yeah, I think it looks like a really great series. And on that note, with more sort of Netflix related news, we have Bandai has acquired the rights to make Ultraman toys in the U.S. So that's right, we're going to be getting U.S. Ultraman toys. No more imports, guys. I mean, there'll still be imports. Like the Earth Garen toy for Ultraman Blazar is like sold out on Hobby in Japan. I'm sure there's other uh, stores out there that are selling it, but so we're gonna be getting Blazar toys and toys for the Netflix movie that's coming out next year, which is really cool that they're already working on merch for that. Uh, I'm really surprised that that's happening. I mean, who would have thought we're getting Ultraman toys that are not imports here?
Yeah, I think that they're really gearing up. I think they're definitely changing things with Blazar. From what I heard, there's a lot less toy integrations in the show. It's more of like a serious series, and they're going to sell toys based off of that. You know, I'm excited to see it. You know, they're doing an English dub. It's going to be available on YouTube. I'm hoping this is the start of maybe them getting a TV deal or maybe a streaming deal to kind of bring it to more of a prominent spot in America.
Yeah, and the trailer for it looked great, and I just love that it's getting the exposure. I'm hoping we do get some info on a possible deal like that at Ultraman Day next month. That'll be here in just a couple of weeks, and I'm hoping with that we'll hear something on the Marvel comic because since the 7 trade paperback came out, there hasn't been much on it. I mean, we know they announced the crossover all the way last year, and all we got was the poster.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that.
I know comics are struggling right now on the mainstream, so I'm kind of hoping they don't shelve it. I would like to see. I honestly did not get to finish the 7 series. I started it and then didn't finish it. It's on the backlog.
Same with me. Life got in the way, and I was like, oh, I'll get the trade paperback, and then it's gonna be like a year. They're like doing like a year delay for the trade paperback. I don't know why.
I know. I think the trade paperback's out now.
No, I don't believe it is. Let me see.
I thought it came out last month originally, unless it got delayed. But yeah, I mean, we're getting a massive wave of comics the next 2 months. Also, I don't know. I tweeted, if you guys saw, I tweeted it out earlier this morning on my Godzilla Island page.
Yeah, no, it's released December 12th, 2023.
Huh? It was supposed to be out last month, but I guess they pushed it.
Yeah. So it looks like the digital is available.
Oh, that's odd.
But the paperback is
printing issues.
December 13th. It's listing.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
Wow. So yeah, that's really far out because there's other comic series right now that are running now that are going to have their trade paperbacks out sooner.
Yeah, I don't know what the delay is.
I don't know. That is odd. But yeah, I mean, we have a ton of comics coming this summer too. I mean, like I said, I tweeted it out earlier today. I'm going to try to be good and get back to our weekly comic book shorts on Wednesdays or Tuesdays, depending if there's a manga out that week. This week, which by the time you see this video will be the previous week, we have the conclusion to the Giant Kaiju, which I will be reviewing, and the supermassive crossover for the Massiverse. That's out this week. This is the 2023 version. They did a 2022 last year. That's a series that I'm really looking to get into, the Massiverse. There's quite a bit so far that's been established for this Toku-inspired universe, but I'm hearing lots of great things about it, and there's a lot of volumes, trade paperbacks out for that if you want to catch up on that. So like I said, keep an eye out for our weekly comic shorts, and you'll see what comics are coming out. I'm really excited for all the Godzilla stuff coming out this summer.
Yeah, definitely. It's we got Here There Be Dragons coming, and we'll probably be covering that on this podcast.
I think that will be one of our next ones that we'll do as a monthly review just to keep up, because that looks really cool. That's dropping. The first issue's dropping, I believe, next week, or possibly when you're seeing this, the issue will be out now. So keep an eye out for that too. So we got some really exciting stuff coming in. And speaking of Godzilla, we also have the Godzilla Toho project. Their Twitter page got a little active yesterday and started a countdown of all their movies. First was Shin Godzilla. Today was Final Wars.
I thought it was. I thought it was really funny. People were like, "Oh my god, they're gonna announce 25 Godzilla movies," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And now with Final Wars being revealed today, it's obviously they're counting down to the original Gojira movie. Yeah. And then they're gonna probably show a trailer for the new movie.
Yeah, well, then they're assuming that this one is. The rumor's been that this movie's called Godzilla Zero, so that's why they're going from 29 down. And once they get to 0, it'll be this movie. I'm really curious what it's gonna be. This one's been super quiet, not much anything on it. We've been like, all right, shooting here. Clearly, there's a scene that involved a kaiju. I don't know. I'm really curious to what this story is going to be, what this Godzilla is going to look like.
You know, I feel like Toho, Godzilla, and Legendary are like the only people that can keep a secret now. Like everything else, I already know the plot before it comes out, before the trailer drops. I know what's going to happen. I know what the movie's going to be about. I know the plot. I know what the ending is going to be. These are like the only movies that I'm always just like, what is going on?
And we still don't have a single trailer for this Monarch series.
Oh.
And I believe it's supposed to be out before the next Godzilla Kong movie, right?
Yeah, no, I think it's going to lead into it, from what I've heard.
That's what I thought. Or its
story's going to be tangentially related to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. They added Ted Lasso, so I need something to watch on Apple TV now. I heard Severance is good, but I don't know. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that series. Got me there.
And then more the last of the monsters on the Monsterverse still. We have the Monsterverse Omnibus is now up for pre-order for non-Kickstarter backers. So if you didn't get a chance to grab it from Kickstarter, it's gonna be out in December, I believe. Legends of Monsters of the Monsterverse is what they're calling it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. They showed a little cover art. It looks extremely different than the Kickstarter version, which I'm kind of happy about because at least now the Kickstarter version is like a special version that you can only get from the Kickstarter. Because for the Pacific Rim Omnibus, after it hit shelves for non-Kickstarter backers, it was the same exact book, besides maybe the lack of slipcover. Yeah. So it's kind of like a bummer, like, the backers didn't get like something that unique versus this one where the slipcase is special, the cover inside is special. Yeah. So that's really cool. I was kind of a little taken aback and surprised though when they did drop that cover on us, because I guess it is separate from the Kickstarter, but 2 days prior, the Legendary Comics Kickstarter page literally goes, this month's update is that we have no updates. And then 2 days later, they're like, here's the cover for the mainstream book.
I think that's
it wasn't announced.
Definitely, I think that's definitely like it's definitely like two different teams that just aren't communicating with each other properly. Stuff like that happens all the time.
I mean, but that's not really that big of a deal, too. It didn't affect the backers at all.
No.
But at least now the backers kind of know like a estimated arrival date now, because they're saying December for the pre-orders. So the backers, I'm assuming, will get it by December or sooner. Hopefully sooner.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm logging on to Kickstarter right now, but I could have sworn that the window for backers, I think, was October. Is what was listed originally.
That does ring a bell now. I can bring it up on my app.
I'm pretty sure it's October. But I mean, the depressing thing about the whole... I mean, I'm happy they have a different cover, but I remember when they first did this Kickstarter, I was like, oh, should I get the Pacific Rim version? It's like $100, and you're like, it's on Target, it's the same cover, it's the same comic, there's nothing different, it's not a real reissue. And I was like, oh, that's kind of disappointing. So I'm happy that I actually backed this, and I'm actually getting something that I wouldn't be getting in the store.
Yeah, something unique.
I am getting my Doug plushie.
Oh yeah, I forgot you get on the Doug.
So
I was. I mean, they announced it like so late into the campaign. I was like, do I do it? It's gonna be super unique. Like, there's literally no Doug stuff out
I
there.
was already getting like one of the top tiers because I wanted like the pins or whatever it was.
Yeah,
So I was already like, I'm already in, right? Might as well.
yeah. At that point, yeah, you were pot committed, as we say in poker.
Yeah. So I was like, let's do this. Let's do this.
Yeah, yeah. No,
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that graphic novel, and it was good for me to pick up that Kickstarter because I haven't read any of the MonsterVerse graphic novels yet.
yeah. I was gonna say maybe like a cool thing to do for the channel since well, we've caught up with pretty much all of our crowdfunded comics. Would be to go through the MonsterVerse graphic novels as the Godzilla Kong movie
Yeah,
approaches.
that might be worth it because there's a lot of lore in there.
Yes, there is. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean
they're really good too.
it's one of those things where it's like I always wanted to pick up the comic books, but they had a bunch of collections, but they weren't complete, and it was always like one of those things that there was never a good beyond just
Yeah,
buying each one individually. There was never really a good way to do it.
yeah, and some of them are. I know some of them are out of print too. Some people have a hard time
Yeah,
finding
so
them.
I had looked into it a couple times, and it just seemed to me like this was probably the best option if I just wanted to jump in and get
Yeah,
one volume of stuff.
I may consider reselling mine before it comes out, or just because I'm a collector crazy, I might just keep them
Yeah.
just to have the different versions.
Yeah. So yeah, estimated delivery October 2023.
All right, perfect. So then it'll be either it'll be right before December, or we're gonna get it in December with everybody else. Who
I
knows?
got the Hail the King bundle that comes with the slipcover, the book plate, the concept art, the 6 enamel pins, the PDF version. I got the patches add-on. So shout out to Frankie B for that one, and I got the Doug plushie.
Good Doug plushie.
Yeah.
Yeah. The add-ons. I don't really think I went with any add-ons on this one. I just went with a book, but uh, while we're on the topic of crowdfunding, we also have Sector 7 is relaunching on fundmycomic.com June 21st. So by the time you see this, it will probably be launched. Would really like to try to get the crew on for that comic on the show one day. Maybe we'll see how the schedules work. We were just talking that this it's going to be a tight few weeks the next couple of weeks, so we'll see what we could do.
Yeah, maybe next week or something. We have to see what everybody's schedule is.
Yeah,
Yeah, looking forward to the campaign. Can't wait to support it. It's interesting to see that they went over to Fund My Comic and closed their Indiegogo. I know it got to the point where they really weren't making too much headway on Indiegogo.
yeah. They collected a good amount there, but like it kind of just like froze. Uh, and Fall of Man had some success. There's been a couple comics that I've seen
Yeah.
actually the last few days that have had some good
I
success
heard like
from
one
there.
person speculate that they were like shadow ban or something, and that's why the goal was high, but if you looked at the quality of the art, I mean, it
Yeah.
was amazing, and that cost
It,
money.
it almost like the quality of the art almost reminds me of there was this other Kickstarter that was just entered last week, that Megalith, and that was like a 4-year project, super thick. It was like a 250-page graphic novel is what it ended up being, and the art quality seemed very similar to that, like super detailed, crazy work going into every single page. And that comic, just to get that graphic novel, was like pretty much you were paying $2 a page
Yeah.
or something
So
like
yeah, I
that,
mean,
or it was like it was like something along those lines. I forgot the math there. Don't quote me on that one. $2 a page is not right what I was saying, but it was expensive. You were paying like a lot of money per page to buy that book. But for Sector 7, the price was a normal price. It was fair, so definitely worth what you were paying for Sector 7. I believe it was $20 was like your base for a issue. now I believe he said he was going to bring down the cost actually for the Fund My Comics, and he was going to stick to black and white and do color as a stretch goal, which is cool with me. I've read black and white comics.
Yeah.
That's how I read the Marvel
I
Godzilla comics with black and white
think
for me.
the original IDW Godzilla comics were also black and white. I mean, the Dark Horse ones, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure about that one. I actually have not read the Dark Horse ones.
I mean, it might have just been the first issue. I'm
Yeah.
bringing it up. I like have it like brought up right now.
But most
There
of
is color.
the art besides the color, oh yeah, most of the art besides the cover art for Sector 7 that we've seen so far has mostly been black and white, and it all looks so good.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with it. I can't wait for it. I'm really excited for Sector 7.
You know what? And if they send out PDFs to people, people can color it themselves too. I mean, there's a lot of talented artists out in the community. I'm sure.
Yeah. No,
I
absolutely.
mean, a cool thing would be like if everybody just like one artist like collabed like per page and just like did the colors and it was all different styles for each one.
That would be pretty cool, actually.
It would be. You know,
A collaborative comic coloring book.
there's like definitely artists out there. I'm not gonna name names because I don't want to like insult anybody. That like I like their pencils and their inks a lot more than I like their colors. So, I think,
I feel you.
and so I'm like, oh, if you're just leaving this at inks, I'm fine with it because the art looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
That's why
everyone's got
comic books
different
have
style.
colorists and people who do inks is because
Yeah.
not everybody's good at everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there's so many great artists out there. I mean, that's one of my favorite things about Twitter is finding all the different artists, looking at having a Twitter feed filled with just monster art.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, looking forward to it. And I guess like the last kaiju news that we have, which I feel like this is a big one, and it's SRS Cinema yet again with Great Yokai War Guardians. It's a 2021 movie. I actually saw this, like a trailer for this, when the Daimajin set came out for Arrow Video last year.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's a cool movie. I never thought we'd get it here in America, but it's going to come out on Blu-ray. So definitely want to head over to SRS, follow them on Twitter, and follow us on Twitter. We'll definitely let you know when the pre-orders go live.
Yes.
I feel like they've been getting like bigger and bigger things.
Yeah. No,
SRS.
They definitely have a lot in the pipe. He's teased a lot, Ron Bonk, and yeah, you mentioned the Arrow set Daimajin, and there was also a Great Yokai set, Great Yokai Monster set, and it included the movie that this is a sequel to, the 2005 Great Yokai War, which is a remake of the original Yokai Monster movies. So there is an Arrow set out there if you want to get a little background on this movie. Just check out Arrow Yokai Monsters on Google, and I'm sure you'll definitely turn up some results.
Yeah.
But like I said, the cool thing about like you said earlier, the cool thing about this is Daimajin, and who's like a Toku icon now. He's a kaiju-esque, right? Yeah, he's a kaiju, right? Everyone kind of considers him.
I would say just as much as like Great Buddha is and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like giant monster, force of nature destroys evil in cities and just everything in its pathway.
Yeah.
It's definitely along those lines.
And this movie's crammed with monsters too. I was looking at the list prior to this of all the monsters in this movie, and I couldn't even count it. It's got to be like 100 monsters in it. So they're not all kaiju. It's all like Japanese folklore monsters and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Really cool movie. I think I've seen clips of it and the 2005 one I have not got to watch yet. But I think once this drops, I'm gonna have to definitely catch up on this whole series.
Yeah, no, it's definitely exciting. I hope that I said the same thing with Space Monster Wing Megami. I hope this is really like one of the movies that really brings SRS to the forefront.
Yeah,
Being like, yes, they are a legitimate
they are.
publisher. No, they are, but I just feel like they don't get the coverage of like an Arrow or NVD or something like that.
I mean, sometimes they do go. SRS does go for like super like
Indie grindhouse
indie
stuff.
hardcore grindhouse movies. but they are putting out quality stuff
I
though.
mean, just the Japanese imports alone are just
Yeah.
the stuff that we wouldn't have if it wasn't for them. It's just
Yeah,
so
just
much.
click that kaiju section on the page and you'll see.
Yeah, I mean they've contributed so much, and I feel like not enough people talk about them.
No, no, definitely
Yeah,
not. They have a great following on Facebook. There's some cool groups and everything there. I believe Ron's even got a Discord, but I think you need to be part of his Patreon actually to do that Discord. But still really cool crew over there.
yeah, no, definitely.
Definitely check
I'm
it
excited
out.
for it. It's definitely going to be a like immediate pre-order as soon as that link goes
Oh, absolutely.
live.
That and the Great Whale, the two of them are like
Yeah,
boom, pre-ordered. I'm curious to see what kind of merch he has for us because I have like this War of the God Monsters shirt. I've got the Conga shirt from them. I'm kind of curious what kind of cover and who he's got doing cover art for this.
yeah,
Because I feel like because of the amount of monsters, especially with Daimajin on the poster
yeah.
of the original one, I think
If he
this is
does,
going to have a really cool cover. I have a feeling.
yeah, if he does another, I know he usually gets Matt Frank, but if he gets any artist, it's
He's got a couple.
it's going to be an
artists, but yeah, if we
expensive.
get a Matt Frank with,
It's going to be an
oh yeah.
expensive cover if he has a lot of monsters on it.
Plus, you got to remember when you pre-order, you get the sweet
You
poster
do get
that
the
matches the
poster,
cover.
yes.
So I think this one's going. If we get a really cool cover on this thing, I think it's gonna sell like.
I think it will
hotcakes.
too. I mean, I'm just excited
Yeah.
just the fact that we're even getting this movie.
Yeah, me too.
There's, you know, I'd rather be able to watch it legally. You know,
Yes.
it makes it so much more appealing to me
Yeah.
because it's. I mean, we're going to go into the Kamen Rider review for the main event, but that's like one of my things. It's just like, oh, you know, I watched the movie and I'm like, oh, I want to get into Kamen Rider, and it's just like, well, there's no legal way to really watch the original Kamen Rider.
I believe Toku has
Yeah,
it.
Toku has it, but I want the Tokusatsu has it too. But I want the set.
Yeah, like physical.
Yeah, give me the set.
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
gets me to want to watch it.
Yeah.
But moving on, we have our review for Neon Cyber Uprising. So I think everybody, both your and my reaction to this comic were pretty similar.
Yeah.
I read this because I had some free time at work, and I immediately texted you, and I said, "Have you read Neon yet?" You said no, and I was like, "Well, it has to jump to the top of your read list."
And it didn't because I was like, I really want to get the physical. That's like
I know
my
it's your
like,
thing. I'm a
I always
digital
wanna get
guy,
the
so
physical version. So, but then you were like, it's really good. It's like I just wanted more of it right now. And when I read it the other day, I was like, damn, this is really damn good. I was like, how could it just end? It's over, and I don't have more to read
and it was
yet.
a pretty decent length comic. It was like
it is.
33
It's
pages or something like that.
It's just standard length comic, and it's just so good that it goes so quick. Is what it was.
Yeah.
It was. Oh, this comic is just excellent. It's like so well written, extremely well paced. Like I flew through the thing, and I was like, "That's it."
Yeah. Yeah, you wanted more. And a lot happens.
But like,
but
but a lot happens.
It's not
like that. We're not when we say that's it. We mean it in like a good way. We were like, oh my god, that was so good. I just consumed it so quick. I just wanted it again. Like it was. It's absolutely
incredible.
the story. Yeah, the world building, the way it's just written out. Like obviously he knows where the story's going, and Stephen Coburn is the writer, but it's in the same breath. It's also setting up different, like as you're reading, it's setting up different branches that where you could branch out to more stories. We could branch out to prequels.
Yeah,
there's like so
you could
much
branch out. I mean, the way this is set up. I mean, this could be its own. We were talking about the Massive Verse earlier. This could be like the next like big indie, comic series.
There is a page where it just tied in with a bunch of other indie heroes, which was a really cool shot. But yeah, this was just this single comic alone, and we don't even really get a lot of the characters' names. We got all we had was the protagonist, the Neon, our hero here. All we had is his first name is Ray,
Yeah.
and no, yeah, it's Ray, yeah, Ray, and we don't get a last name, but and most of the comic focuses on Detective Riku Ellis, and it takes place in a futuristic, so obviously cyber's in the title, cyberpunkish style, New Miami. Do you want to go into a little backstory about how it all started off here? About the cybers? Do you want me to take it?
Why don't you take it from here?
All right, I'll take it. So when it opens up with a little backstory about how we got to where we are now in this story. So the humans developed these things called cybers. They were robots to reduce casualties or dangerous situations such as wildfires, military combat. Then corporations tried to make money off of it, so they started using it for mundane tasks as cutting grass, taxi drivers, this, that. They were being used for everything. And then a mysterious virus broke out and gave them all sentience, causing like a robot revolution. Think Terminator. So then there was a whole robot war. There was a robot cyber insurgency, is what they were called. They were called cybers. And they got wiped out. They wiped them all out with EMPs. And now we're 25 years later in New Miami, and we open up. Police are outside in Ultraman Enterprise Factory. And a few weeks prior, there was a breakout at the Ultraman Labs where the first cybers seen in over 25 years appeared. And at this labs, we see our hero. Well, we didn't see it, but they told us in the story that Neon was also there. And he was fighting them, but he ended up getting the blame for the return of the cybers. So now Neon is the most wanted criminal in New Miami and the country. So
I mean, you look at him; he kind of does look a little cyber-ish. He
yes,
could be robotic. You don't know.
All cyber style equipment and devices were also made illegal too to prevent any sort of robot outbreak again. So even if he's not necessarily a robot, his suit is illegal.
Yeah, and it is an awesome looking suit. I mean, I love the color.
Yes.
I love the color so much. And clearly, I redid our whole thing to be themed for cyber.
I mean, it gives me like some like when I just think of a synthwave album cover when I see the colors on it.
Yeah, and I really gotta say that. I mean, the colors were done by Chris Jones. Did a fantastic job in this whole comic.
And Wilsur did the art for it. Absolutely great.
The lighting on it was so well done. Really appreciated all the work that had gone into it. Oh, and I also did want to mention that letters were done by Nikki Powers as well.
Yes.
Which, I mean, really good job on the lettering here. Nothing really stood out, and it gave people voice the way that the lettering was done. I really appreciated that. But it opens up with our lead detective here, and Detective Riku Ellis. And
yes.
He's kind of like the badass cop stereotype.
Yeah, he's the lone wolf. He's like everyone's standing outside this warehouse. They're like, oh, he's like, what the hell is everyone standing around for? They're like, oh, there's cybers inside and Neon's in there fighting. It's like, oh, Neon's in there. He's like, all right, I'm going in. And they're like, well, CED's supposed to be coming in, and CED is the cyber execution department, I believe.
Yeah, department, or I think it's department.
Cyber execution is part of the first part.
Yeah.
But he's like, I'm not waiting for him. He's like, I'm not listening to some billionaire to tell me what to do. So he goes in, and these two cops are kind of like having a conversation as we see Riku going through this lab, and he's right off the bat, he's confronted by three cybers, and the one cop's like, what's this guy's problem? They're like, he's supposed to be like a superior, and he's not listening to orders. He's not setting a good example. The guy's like, you don't understand. He was part of the cyber insurgency back when the cybers were around. He's He's like he's a good cop. He's like just because he's defying orders doesn't mean he's a bad cop. He's not doing this for bad. He's doing it for good. He's going to do whatever it takes to protect this city. And then it cuts to him fighting the cybers. He takes out these three cybers, no problem. Moves through this factory warehouse and comes upon Neon fighting a whole nother group of
Yeah.
cybers. And we cut to Neon. He's got a net runner, which is if you've played Cyberpunk, I don't know if it's a common term outside of Cyberpunk, but I'm a big Cyberpunk fan, Edge Runners fan, and a net runner in there is pretty much like your man behind the computer, as you would call it. They're usually their hacker. They're taking out all
The
security
man in the
cameras.
van.
Yeah, yes, the man in the van is what you would call him.
Yeah.
But the more futuristic name, and it's a cooler name too.
Yeah.
I like that
It's,
better
it's definitely cooler than Man in a Van.
Man in the van.
But for,
Down by the river.
yeah.
Yeah, so he's got a little hacker working with him, and she's like, oh, you got Ellis on him, and he's like, oh, I wonder if he's still on our side, and she's like, well, you did save his life last time. So Ellis was there, I guess, the first time Neon was seen at the Altman laboratory a few weeks prior when the other cybers broke out. So Altman begins helping Neon fight these cybers, and they're kind of going back and forth, and Ellis is like, I tried to clear your name, but he's like, there's higher ups with more money that don't want that to be. And while this is going on, the Netrunner is like, yo, your bounty's been doubled now. You're 2 billion chips. I believe chips was the currency that it was now.
Yeah, it's chips.
Chips bounty. And he's like, really? And so while she's talking to him, she's like, all right, I'm figured it out. They're protecting some sort of room at the back of this warehouse. They don't want you to see. There's some sort of power source there. And but these things, they just keep respawning. So it turns out each of these cybers is like a respawn point, and they kind of, you kill one and it just comes back onto the next cyber. So she's like, as long as there's still one cyber, they're just going to keep spawning and spawning and spawning.
Yeah.
So then he begins to charge up this, what was it called? The Neon Slash or something like that? Or a Cyber Slash?
I don't know
she's
if
like,
they
you don't
name it.
It said like some sort
Speed
of...
Slash?
Yes, Speed Slash,
Yeah.
that's what it is. Yeah. And she's like, you don't even know if that's going to work. And he's like, well, I have one shot at it. And then during this whole banter between the three of them, Neon puts her on speaker kind of so that Ellis could hear. She's like, what do you, she says something like, there wasn't a manual that came with the suit. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, she's like, well, I got this suit off of another guy whose name we learn is Shotaro Otomo, who's the creator and owner of the suit previously. So he does this slash crazy move, takes out all the cybers. They get to this back room, and there's a big, huge cyber guy that goes by the name Mendelix, and he kind of gives this whole bad guy dialogue saying, oh, you know about death, hinting that he killed Shotaro. And he did, apparently. I have a theory about that one. We'll get to that at the end.
Yeah.
So the two of them fight. Not Shotaro, Ray, who's current Neon, goes to punch him, and Shotaro kind of like just takes the punch. Is like, really? That's all you got? He's like, all that power, and that's what you do? And Shotaro kind of just disappears. And then we cut to like these two beings in cyberspace kind of like talking about the fight, like, oh, I really wish he would have taken care of Neon. And they're all kind of concerned. They have these big plans, and they're the ones behind it. And they're talking about how they were exiled for years. So I'm assuming they were exiled at the end of the insurgency, and these are previous cybers. And it's pretty cool. They're in like this, like I said, they're in like a cyberspace area. So if you've played Cyberpunk like I have, they have something called the Old Net, which is, I'm assuming, is sort of similar to this, where it's like a virtual space, and there's some AIs in there, and also some stored consciousnesses of previous people. And I'm assuming maybe that's what these two are. I'm not quite sure. Um, but we get a little show, and we see some of the other heroes from other indie comics. They're like, oh, Neon could be like them, and it pops up on the screen. I'm sure when we get a physical copy, it's going to be a really cool 2-page spread.
Yeah.
The way the picture was in the digital
Yeah,
file.
digital, doesn't do it justice.
It looks really cool. It's a sweet picture.
Yeah.
I believe Steve shared it out though on his Twitter before.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to see it in person. I mean, it's cool on the tablet and the colors are great, but I want to get the book in my hand because what's really cool is they also give you like a little like legend where you can
of all the heroes.
Shouts out all the projects and everything, so you can go check them out.
Yeah, I started going through today. Oh my god, I just follow all these people.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of cool things I didn't even know about were shouted out. So it's really cool.
It's just crazy the indie comic scene right now, and we've been diving into it, and just so many of the good comics that we've been reading lately are indie comics.
Yeah.
And so we have these two beings talking. They're talking about Metalix kind of failing them. Metalix shows up, and he's like, he doesn't really say much, really.
No.
Metalix. It's really these two kind of like just talking about Neon, and they don't want their plans ruined. Also, another factor I forgot to mention was the Altman, who's the owner of the factory and the warehouse. He gets a phone call from the one cop that was kind of annoyed that Ellis went in and was like, yo, listen, the plans are gotten a little more complicated. Ellis headed in there before the CED, and he's kind of pissed off that he's giving Neon some backup, because I think he kind of says he wants this Neon eliminated, so I'm assuming he's the one that's put the bounty out on Neon or helped double it.
Yeah, I think that's what the implication is.
Yeah. And now the CD's on scene, and the Netrunner's like, listen, man, you got to get out of there, because not only are they taking you out for their job, but they got $2 billion on your head. If whoever gets that kill, they get in 2 billion chips. So Neon runs to his motorcycle. He calls in midnight, and Ellis kind of takes a shot at him. He's like, what are you, a kid? And it takes off, kind of ends with the chase. Cut back to these two beings in the cyberspace talking still, and they're saying that while they were watching Neon, they detected another energy source, and the final picture is a big reveal. They're like, oh, should we take him out or try to turn him to our side? They're like, I don't know. I think we should take him out just in case he decides he wants to be a hero like him. And we get a big reveal of another suited being.
All gold.
And it's all gold. Looks like it's holding like a boomerang blade or something almost. So what are your theories on this one?
I don't know if I don't know if it's a hero from another dimension. I don't know if it's the original Neon. It's definitely something that I'm like, that ending was like, oh, we're ending here. I wanted to know more.
That's what I was gonna say. My theory was, I think it is Shotaro in that suit. Maybe.
We don't know yet.
As far as Neon knows, is the original owner of the Neon suit was killed. Just really cool. I want to know the Netrunner's name. I don't know if I missed it somewhere. I've read the comic 2 times, and I didn't pick up her name anywhere. And all we got for Neon's suit holder was Ray. The only person whose name we get the full name of is Riku Ellis, and Shotaro Otamo, the previous suit owner.
Yeah. So, I had done some research prior to this, and I do see that there is an issue 0 for this comic book.
Oh, there is?
That wasn't on the Kickstarter.
Oh.
The only issue is it's print on demand only. You can't get the digital version of it.
Okay.
but it's not very expensive. It's $5, so I'm probably gonna end up ordering this and seeing if there's more backstory.
Right. I had no
Yeah,
clue.
neither did I. It was just right before we started recording. I saw this, so I'm probably gonna end up ordering it, and we'll be able to see. I'm very excited for that, but I have a lot of expectations for this series. You know, I really hope the next issue is just as successful, or if not more, than the first one. The art is amazing. The colors are amazing. I think that they are doing a really good job with the story. It really sucks you in, and so much so that he was like part of like this like heroes compendium book where he just has like a short story in it. I just bought it just based on him being involved with it.
Oh,
I was like,
that's awesome.
yeah, I mean, the writing's really good, and I'm just very excited. So I just want more, and if there's any way that I can support, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, like the Ellis Neon relationship already seems like a Batman Gordon type of thing. Like Ellis is like, I'm gonna kind of work with you, even though I'm not supposed to be. He's like, I know you're the good guy. Everyone wants you gone though.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. And there's the Kamen Rider inspirations for the
it's very
awesome.
like 0-0 Railway era Kamen Rider inspired.
That's why I'm like, I really can't wait for this. I have all the Kamen Rider 01 comics now. I'm like, I think I'm gonna start reading those just because of this. I haven't got a chance to read them yet, and this made me want to get like more. And like I said, I'm a really big Cyberpunk fan. I'm on my second playthrough of it, and with the Phantom Liberty thing, I'm all into the Cyberpunk stuff, and the Cyberpunk references in here were really cool with the constructs in the cyberspace thing. I'm assuming it's Cyberpunk references. I don't know if these references have been done outside Cyberpunk, but awesome, absolutely awesome, great, just great world. And like I said, the art is incredible. I was when you told me how great this was, I was like, damn, he's really excited about this comic. And so you set the bar really high for me going in. I was like, I'm scared that he overhyped this comic for me, but damn, this is really good.
It really is. I'm just waiting for this issue 1 to actually ship out so we can launch issue 2.
Yeah, they sound like that's what they said. As soon as we get issue 1 out there, we're ready to go for issue 2's launch. Yeah. And he's got the plans already. I'm just super excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, usually we would wait for printed issues to be out before we'd review it.
I'm not gonna wait.
No, not at all. This is a must read immediately.
Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna have I think as soon as that file drops, I'm gonna be like, all right.
Yeah.
I don't care where I am.
Hopefully, maybe on the second Kickstarter, they'll throw issue 1 in as like a bonus or as like a higher tier or an add-on or something. I'm probably going to order the print one, but I do like a digital comic, especially for the colors on this.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It really, really is.
So keep an eye out on Steve Coburn. And check out, I believe I usually, once I back something on Kickstarter, you could follow the person that founded that campaign. So you can even follow him on Kickstarter as well, besides Twitter. And we'll share that all in the comments down below. His info.
Yeah, I think he has Instagram and all that stuff too. And so does Wilsur and everybody else.
Yeah. That way, whenever a project goes live, or even if they back a project, you'll know what they're into. So it's really cool. I follow everybody on Kickstarter too.
Yeah,
it's cool.
No, definitely.
What they're reading, especially if they back another comic.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely check it out, and just go out there and support your indie comics. I think we're gonna transition to the main event. We have Shin Kamen Rider review. We went the first showing, which is, I believe, was on the 29th. That was before they even announced that they were doing a second showing on the 5th.
Well, yeah. Well, we had our tickets already
Yeah.
before, but then it was like that week. A week or two prior, they had announced
Yeah,
it.
I mean this uh the showing that we went to, they had two theaters for it,
I did not know that was going to happen. Yeah, that
and
they had.
ours was pretty packed and the crowd was going crazy. And then
Yeah,
after
and just
the movie was over, the guy was like, one of the guys was like, I brought mask and all this other stuff with us, and they're taking
who wants to do
pictures and like
yeah.
just like such a cool like didn't have this experience with Ultraman at all.
Yeah, and we even did one of the Godzilla Fathom events. What do we do? Tokyo
Yeah,
SOS?
Tokyo
No,
SOS.
no, Godzilla against Mega. So
Yes.
we missed SOS.
Yeah,
I was
you're
on a
right.
plane for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And the whole movie, the audience was just cheering. They were going wild. They were booing. They were booing the
Yeah.
villains. It was some movie experience. And I was really surprised when I saw that they were doing two showings that night. They had the 7 o'clock, which for the most part was what everybody had, like across the board, across the country, and then they had a 7:05. I guess to stagger it for the second showing that night. And so they had two theaters packed up. When we got to the theater, there was just like
Tons
a lot
of people.
There was a lot of people and a lot of people talking about it. Because when we got there, you were like, "Oh, there's a lot of people here for this." I'm like, "You don't know that they're here just for this." I'm like, "This."
Well, I was like, look at these people. These are our people.
Yeah, yeah, it kind of was. But I was like, "You don't know that they're here for this." And then like you could hear them talking. You're like, "Wow, yeah."
Like literally everybody that was there to see Kamen Rider.
Yeah, I mean the lobby, because we go to a very large Regal movie theater, and it's probably one of the largest ones where we live. We live on Long Island. It's in Westbury. They have maybe 20 theaters in there, and the parking lot is just massive.
Yeah, it's a huge movie theater.
Tons of movies playing at a time, and for this lobby to be, it was packed like it was Endgame. The lobby, like
That's how
that's the
That's
last
how I've
time
been
I saw that
describing
movie.
this to people.
That's the last time I saw that movie theater this packed since COVID was Shin Kamen Rider. I mean,
Yeah. Oh,
it
Spider
was
Man.
really
Spider-Man was pretty.
yes, yeah. Oh, true. Yeah, no, whatever.
But this was
cycle.
like, besides that and Endgame, this is the biggest thing I've seen. There's almost
Yeah.
nobody at Ultraman, but we went to the English dub because that was the only day that really worked for us. I don't know how the sub was. Maybe I was more packed.
Maybe, yeah. But it was a really cool experience. I mean, like the two of us are both of our backgrounds is really I've only seen Amazons. I literally just started last week after watching this. I started watching Kamen Rider Black. I watched the first two episodes. And that's all my experience with Kamen Rider, honestly. So going into this, we were super new to it. I mean, we definitely didn't get a lot of the references and callbacks to the original series.
No.
Although I know a lot of, from what I've read, a lot of this movie is actually based on the manga that was based on the original series. So to get a better idea on some of the story for this, I think I'm going to I've been putting off for a while. I'm like, oh, I want to pick it up that Kamen Rider manga collection that they put out. I'm gonna pick that up. I think it's only like $23 for that, and it's like hardcover. I think I'm gonna read that to get a little more insight on this movie.
Yeah. So while we are calling this a review of Shin Kamen Rider, we're by no means pretending to be Kamen Rider know-it-alls or pretend that we know even the slightest bit
Consider
about
this
it.
a Kamen Rider noob review.
Yeah, like this is just an outsider watching the movie and being like, okay, this is really cool. We're not even really going to get too super heavy on plot here because we probably missed so many references and everything. It wouldn't even really be too much worth it. We'll talk. I mean, I'm willing to at least talk about. I mean, if you want to talk about plot, we can do plot. It's a very basic plot. It's not a very complicated story whatsoever. It's kind of really weird because it's like maybe like 3 little like 7-minute shorts, and then it goes into like the plot of the movie, where it's like the longer plot.
Yeah. So like, it opens up with that clip that probably most of you have seen online. The opening scene with the motorcycle chase on the highway. The motorcycle crashes. The girl falls off the cliff, which is our co-star Ruriko Midorikawa. She's a computational organism, so she's not exactly human. She was made in a lab. She's human-ish, but she's got computer stuff through her body. And then there's our main character, Takashi Hongo. He's with her. She apparently is broke him out of the Shocker lab. She's saving him.
Yeah.
Because they want to use him as a weapon against humanity. So she breaks him out of the lab. They crash. She falls down, and this spider augment is about to kill her because it's his job to assassinate all the traitors of Shocker. And then Kamen Rider appears at the top of the mountain, and he jumps off this mountain and just punches these 2 Shockers. He just beats all these Shocker agents to a bloody pulp.
Very bloody.
And there's no, that's actually later on in the fight. So he kills all these guys. He fights the spider augment. The spider augment retreats, and he retreats with Ruriko to a cabin, and it cuts to him now in the bathroom. He's still got the helmet on. He's like, "What is this? What am I?" And he like rips the helmet open, and you can see his face is all like bugged out. Then he takes his gloves off. You see he's got like a buggy claw-like hand, and he comes out of the bathroom and is like, "What am I?" I'm like, "Oh, you gotta release your prana," and they push a button on the belt, and like he becomes human again. And the professor Midorikawa explains how he had helped create the augments, and he helped make him. He's going to be the savior for humanity right now to fight Shocker and prevent the augments and Shocker from changing the world, taking over the world. And then some spiders appear, and the professor is quickly killed, and his last request is for him to protect Ruriko, and he's still untransformed. The spider blows up the house while taking Ruriko with him, and he survives the explosion. He's about to kill Ruriko back at this dam. He appears, they fight, and we get a kind of rehash of the original Kamen Rider intro with him fighting the Shockers that you could see after. A spoiler alert, after the movie, it's not really much of a spoiler. After the movie, they play the original Kamen Rider intro. So
yeah, they play it next to the scene.
Yes, so it's pretty much this scene is a replay of the original Kamen Rider intro, and the music is even playing too throughout this whole fight scene. They fight, he takes out the spider augment, and then kind of the movie goes on. From there on, he fights a bat augment, a bee augment. There was a scorpion one.
Yeah, but that was very short-lived.
It was short-lived. He didn't fight that one. The special agents that were anti-Shocker agents, they sent in their squad, and that was actually a pretty funny scene. The Scorpion was a female character, and she was really getting off on fighting.
Yeah.
And like it kind of cuts to them, like to the man in the van watching the fight, and all you kind of hear is just moaning, and then eventually you hear like a
hail of bullets,
like a hail of bullets, and like one final like moan. But that was a pretty funny scene. But we learned later on that they wanted to take her out because they wanted to use her venom.
Yeah, apparently her venom is one of the only things that can kill augments. So they wanted to weaponize it.
Yes, besides Kamen Rider.
Yes.
And do you want to take anything on here? I don't want to hog it all up
Yeah,
here.
yeah. So, one of the main things that is like a constant theme of this is sadness and happiness. And they always say, "Oh, the difference is one line on the kanji." So it's one of the main things is Hungo, who's the first Kamen Rider 1. He's not very happy with what he's doing. He's doing it out of his promise to the doctor to protect his daughter, and because he feels like it's the right thing to do. But he's not. Yes. He's not happy with all the killing and being basically used as a weapon. He's not super into that. As we see throughout this, he kills the bat. He spares the B augment, and that's where it's revealed that they got the scorpion poison. So the B augment does end up getting killed, and we get a bit of a break in the middle. And this is a lot of people's main complaint is like, oh, the plot comes to a screeching halt. It's like, no, they want to give you some backstory here about these characters, because if he just finishes off the big bad at the end, it's a pretty empty movie, to be honest with you. So we find out that she's we get more of like her like half computer brain, half human brain type of backstory. We learn more about his father, who was a police officer, and he died trying to save a hostage. And even as he was dying, he was trying to make sure that the guy that stabbed him was getting proper medical attention. He wasn't even worried about himself at all. He was like a real hero. And ever since turning into a Kamen Rider, Hungo always sees the blood on his hand and he thinks of his father's blood because he was there when he died. So he's like very like, he wants to be a hero like his dad, but he's not willing to kill, and which he will do it, but his dad wouldn't ever kill, so he feels super guilty about doing it. Moving along to the plot, we find out that Ryuku also has a brother, and he's going to be the butterfly augment, and he's actually kind of the big bad of this movie. So he goes to like the lair because they're like, oh, the cocoon hatched, and we get Kamen Rider 2 introduced. This is Ichimonji, and crowd goes crazy.
They went absolutely wild when he got introduced.
Yes. So it turns out he's another grasshopper augment, but in addition to that, he doesn't need the wind like Hungo does to Henshin. He just transforms on his own. He just activates the belt and he transforms. So they get this awesome fight. I think it's in like a power plant, I want to say. I'm not exactly sure what
it kind of reminded me of in Shin Ultraman, where he fights Mephiles.
He's right about the fight Mephiles. It's like the same type of location.
It looked like the same exact location. When I was watching, I'm like, is it the same spot? It might be.
It could be. It was a very similar thing, but him and Ichimonji are fighting each other. Hungo breaks his legs, but right in time for Ryuko to kind of fix the brainwashing in Ichimonji's head.
Like doing something on a computer the whole time.
And he stops fighting, he's crying, and she just walks up to him and ties the scarf around his neck. And she says, only heroes wear red.
Yes.
Because it originally had a white scarf on. So she takes off the white scarf, puts the red one on.
She gave Hongo his scarf at the beginning of the movie. And she's like, oh, heroes always wear red, right?
Which she finds out was actually her dad. Later on in the movie, you find out her dad rode a motorcycle.
Wearing a red scarf.
Wearing a red scarf. Very similar to them. So that's kind of what it's modeled after. Basically they team up after that. They take out the bad guy Butterfly. I thought the fight was very lackluster, the final fight. The fight with them fighting all the other Kamen Riders was pretty cool.
Yes.
A lot of CG involved. But one thing I felt like they were trying to show off was these augments were getting further and further away from being half human, half animal, and they were getting more and more animalistic. They were getting away from the human
like
side. So you can even see where the progression was, or like, okay, this is going south.
Like even like so after that whole scene, after Ruriko saves Ichimoji, turning him back with pulling the mind control away, she gets stabbed by a chameleon. Oh, he was like a chameleon praying man.
Chameleon mantis human was he was the first triple augment.
So chameleon mantis human, and then like you said, they go back to Shocker to fight her brother, which was the butterfly augment. But when they get there, they're met by a whole big like fleet of grasshopper augments, basically copycat Kamen Riders, and that whole scene was really cool.
That's another scene where the crowd went crazy because they posed for the fight and everyone just screams. I thought it was really cool. The last fight, I can see why people were disappointed with it, and even in the movie theater I was a little disappointed with it, but they were kind of showing, it was a lot of not you actually seeing fight choreography, a lot of really close-up shots of like effects and stuff like that. Kind of brought back like Iron Fist Netflix vibes where you didn't actually see anything happen, but it kind of ends up with just like Hungo and Ichiro, which is the brother augment, it's kind of like wrestling on the ground, like two grown men who clearly don't know how to fight, just wrestling on the ground with each other.
Like Ichiro was like so like OP at the beginning of the fight, but then like after time went by, I guess he got tired, his helmet got damaged.
Yeah, he was disconnected from the prana, he was running low on energy.
And another thing to just kind of give some insight onto Ichiro's motivations here is his mother was killed as a child, so he's kind of trying to stop people from killing each other. He's suffered a lot of loss. That's one of the other themes here. And so he lost his sister, his father, his mother. So he's the last in his family left. And one of Ruriko's plans to get Ichiro back was to have him put on this helmet, the Kamen Rider helmet, and it would store his construct in there. Sort of like...
And that's where she was as well. Her consciousness was in there after she died.
And when he's in there, he actually puts on the helmet and kind of sees her one last time. And he goes, she's trying to be like, listen, just come in the helmet, be in here. And I didn't realize at the time that Hongo had been seriously hurt. And he goes to her. It's kind of small in here. You didn't think I wouldn't notice that there's not room for three of us in here. So he's like, I've suffered enough loss. So basically he takes the helmet off, gives it back to Hongo, and he just dies. So he didn't want to live with watching Ruriko die, because if he went in there, she wouldn't be in there anymore. It was more of a trap for him. So he would rather die himself than see his sister die a second time. So he dies, and Hongo kind of disappears and dies as well. And Ichimoji picks up the helmet, takes it with him.
Because his suit's almost completely destroyed from the fight.
Because he headbutted Ichiro, and it split his helmet in two. So that was the end of his helmet. So he takes Hongo's helmet, puts it on, and Ruriko and Hongo are in there, and he becomes Kamen Rider 2+1.
And he gets the suit from that when he was Kamen Rider 2 in the TV show. He gets that suit, that motorcycle. He rebuilds it. You get a reveal that like the two like Man in the Van characters were like the assistant characters from like the TV show. The crowd went crazy in the theater when they revealed the names. But it was like Taki,
Tobe Tachibani, and Kazuya Taki. And the TV
the crowd went crazy
in the
when
TV
they heard
series,
that.
they were Hongo's racing coach and FBI informant, and in here they're just like anti-shocker agents. But
Yeah. One thing to note with them is that the actor who played Taki was the actor who played Shin Ultraman. So little crossover there
that's really cool.
that you get. Yeah.
But
Um,
another thing to note too, like we kind of left it out because like I kind of felt like it became like an abandoned plot point almost. So this whole thing started out. Ruriko made a AI called, I believe it was I, and now, or was it?
and there's I, and then now it's
Yeah, it's
J.
another letter now, and this AI was the one behind Shocker, but Ichiro was only one of the augments, so the Shocker is still active. Like Ichiro was not, even though he was the final big bad. Like this whole evil corporation's out there, and like the movie clearly ends. Uh,
They leave it
yes,
very
they leave it
open.
very open, and recently at a April 20 in April at a screening, Hideki Anno did say that he is trying to pitch a sequel. Shin Kamen Rider Masked World is what he's calling it for now, but we got to see if it gets picked up. After seeing the reaction from the audience for this one, I do not see how it doesn't get
Yeah.
greenlit.
I saw like some people like ragging on this movie on Twitter, and I just think that they don't like
Yeah,
fun. Like it's
yeah.
honestly all I can think about. Um, One other thing to note, when I was talking about earlier about this, like pain is one line away from happiness thing. I saw this on Twitter, so I don't know how much to actually put stake into this, but apparently Ichimoji does mean one line
Oh, I did not know that.
or like single line, I think is like the translation for it. And he ends the movie being very happy because he's Kamen Rider on his terms. He's like, hey,
Yes.
I want to still be a photojournalist. I still want to help that way, but I'm going to be Kamen Rider. I am going to help you guys. He's like, but if we're going to do this, because he gets approached by Tobei and Taki about being the new Kamen Rider. He's like, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this my way.
Yes.
And he seems much more free, and they're kind of like along for the ride with him. So I mean, the way they ended it, it doesn't need a sequel, and if they do a sequel, it's probably going to be great.
Yeah, because there's still this whole corporation out there. Like, there's like clearly it ends like out of all the Hideki Anno movies, I think this one ends the most open for a sequel.
Yes. Sorry about that. I had an internet outage, but I think what I was getting at was that Gomez from Shin Ultraman. I think they were kind of like trying to tease that maybe he was what got off of Godzilla and grew into Shin Ultraman. And I definitely feel like Shin Ultraman, they were kind of trying to tease that it was kind of a sequel
Yeah.
to Shin Godzilla with like the whole opening
Yeah.
sequence. You know, this movie felt very separate.
Yes. Oh boy, did it. Yeah.
It felt like it was in its own
I mean,
world, and not that that's a bad thing.
no, absolutely.
I'm
It's,
just you know I just think that if there is a movie with potential for a sequel, it's this one. Shin Ultraman, I felt like was very final. I really can't see unless you do like
it
a
did.
Ultra 7. I really can't see you bringing back Shin Ultraman.
No, not the
I
way
think
it
that would
ended.
defeat the whole purpose of the movie.
Yeah.
So if there is going to be a Shin project to get a sequel, it should be this one.
Yeah. I think so. I really think so.
Yeah.
Um, I I say even Neon Genesis was considered part of this Shin universe. The I don't know if the whole rebuild series was part of that or what, or if it was just the last movie for the rebuild. But that ended with a sort of universe reset. It's been talked about saying that maybe that was what built this Shin universe, but they all kind of seem separate. Besides, like you said, Shin Ultraman and Shin Godzilla maybe could have
Very
been
loosely
connected,
connected. Yeah.
very loosely. But I would just love to see more of this, though. It absolutely made me want to get into more Kamen Rider series. I loved Kamen Rider Amazons. I don't know what everyone thinks about that series. I enjoyed it. I still didn't get to see the movie yet. I have it. I just haven't got to watch it yet because I've just got so many different things. And I've started digging into the Kamen Rider Black, and now we know we're getting, what is it, RX, Black RX, or
Yeah, Black RX. I think the pre-orders just opened for that on
yes,
Discotech.
and it comes out the 23rd of August. It's going to be here before you know it.
Yeah.
Discotech. I think Right Stuff has it the cheapest right now. Right Stuff Anime. For some reason, Right Stuff Anime
Gets the Discotech stuff cheaper.
Yes, they do have it cheaper, so that's the way to go, I think, for it.
Yeah. And you usually get a slipcover with them too.
Yeah.
Versus Amazon.
And I don't like the way Amazon handles their DVDs.
No.
So I'm probably gonna go with Right Stuff Anime for that series. And Discotech did tease that there was gonna be some sort of summer reveal thing, which is where they revealed Black last year, I believe. So I'm hoping that they reveal more Toku series and hopefully more Kamen Rider series coming to Blu-ray.
No, that would be really good. There's no word on when this is getting a Blu-ray release in America. It seems like it's not getting a dub, which is fine. I would like for it to get a dub just because it would match with the other movies. But again, these movies aren't really linked together, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to get the rights for this, whether it's going to be Shout Factory, MVD, who knows?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to get a Blu-ray release at some point, though.
Yeah, Raven Banner has Ultraman in Canada, so I can kind of try and eye that one to see if it's going to be anything different than our U.S. release. But they have not dropped any info on their release yet for that in Canada.
Yeah.
And I've even messaged them a couple times, asking them, inquiring if there's going to be anything different, if it's going to look different. Because, like, I know sometimes they have, like, cool slipcovers for their releases, Raven Banner. So I was like, oh, if their release is better, I might consider canceling my regular Shin Ultraman and pick up that version instead. But nothing yet, so I'm going to assume it's going to be a basic set. But Raven Banner could even pick it up, Kamen Rider up for the U.S. release. You never know.
Yeah, you never do know. But yeah, did you have anything else you wanted to add at all, or?
No, I'm just looking forward to getting more Kamen Rider. Like I said earlier, this I don't know for sure, but from what I've read, that this movie is more tied to the character traits, are more tied to the Kamen Rider manga, which is available. Like I said, you could get it for $23, and it comes in a nice big hardcover book too, I believe, and it's pretty large for a manga. I mean, usually manga, I picture a little tiny book like this, but I think it's like textbook size, almost like these Gorgo books behind me.
Yes.
There's also a Super Sentai of the Go Ranger put out by the same company that's doing the Kamen Rider one. So I'm thinking I'm gonna be picking up those two mangas eventually, especially the Kamen Rider one after watching this movie. I just need more Kamen Rider in my life now.
Yeah. And it looks like that Kamen Rider manga is in color too. Oh wait, some of it's color and some of it's black and white.
All right. Yeah. Definitely worth picking up though, guys. So if you like this movie, if you're newbies like us, I would recommend picking that up based off what I've read about the movie.
Yeah, I'm waiting for somebody to announce, hopefully Discotech, hopefully Shout Factory, that they're bringing Kamen Rider, the original series, to home media.
Yeah.
I'll stream it if I have to, but I really want to own it. So, yeah, that's basically it. Hope you guys enjoy. Tell us what you think of this down below, and we'll catch you guys next time.